Most people walk into their first gym thinking the biggest guy in the room is automatically the most dangerous. It makes sense. Size is visible, strength is obvious, weight is something you can feel the moment someone puts it on you. But then something strange happens. A smaller person steps on the mat and the bigger one taps. Again and again and again. It looks like a trick. It feels impossible. And yet it keeps happening at every gym in every city all over the world. This is not a coincidence. This is Jiu-Jitsu working exactly as it was designed to work. And once you understand the real reasons behind it, the art starts to make complete sense. Section 1. Timing. The first and perhaps most important reason smaller grapplers succeed is timing. Not speed, not athleticism, not explosiveness. Timing. Now, bigger athletes often get away with being a half second late. Their strength and pressure compensate for the delay. But a smaller grappler who is late to frame, late to shrimp, or late to recover guard gets flattened and held down. This reality forces smaller grapplers to develop an almost instinctive sensitivity to movement. They stop reacting and start anticipating. They learn to read weight shifts, recognize pressure changes, and move at the precise moment when movement is possible. When a bigger opponent leans too far forward, the smaller grappler is already gone. When posture opens for a split second, the entry is already happening. When the pressure shifts to the wrong side, the sweep is already in motion. Section 2. Structure over force. Bigger athletes often solve problems with effort. They push harder, squeeze tighter, and drive through resistance. It works when strength is enough, but it leaves gaps when the opponent does not try to match that force directly. Smaller grapplers learn early that they cannot match force with force. Instead, they learn to solve problems with structure. Frames, wedges, angles, posture, and alignment become the vocabulary they use to manage pressure. Instead of trying to bench press a heavy opponent off their chest, they create space with a well-placed elbow and hip frame. Instead of exploding wildly out of side control, they recover in layers, creating inside space first before converting it into a guard. A sharp frame placed correctly can hold back far more pressure than raw effort ever could. A good guard angle can make a bigger opponent feel completely stuck regardless of how hard they are pushing. In Section 3, don't overcommit. Here is something that does not get talked about enough. Bigger opponents often beat themselves. Not because they lack ability, but because they trust their physicality too much. They drive too aggressively. They reach further than their base allows. They commit their weight to positions before those positions are fully secured. Against a skilled, smaller grappler who is comfortable being patient, that overcommitment becomes a trap. Every time the bigger person reaches too far, an arm drag is there. Every time they drive forward with too much aggression, a sweep is waiting. Every time they rush to settle their weight, a back take becomes available. Smaller grapplers become experts at surviving the initial storm and waiting for the inevitable moment of sloppiness. The bigger the attack, the bigger the opening that follows. Section 4. Efficiency matters. Smaller grapplers cannot afford to waste energy. Every round teaches them this lesson. Against someone bigger and stronger, wasted effort is punished immediately. A bad scramble costs too much. A panic escape drains the gas tank fast, so they become selective. They stop chasing bad attacks. They stop fighting for positions that are not going to pay off. They learn to make small adjustments rather than big explosive moves. They stop reacting emotionally and start responding technically. That efficiency compounds over the course of a round. The bigger opponent who is squeezing too hard, muscling every exchange, and treating every moment like a max effort lift starts to fade. And when they fade, the technical gap becomes brutally visible. And the smaller grappler who has been calm, conserving energy, and making precise adjustments suddenly starts to take over. The round feels like it belongs to them, even though the opponent had all the physical advantages at the start. Section 5. Angles. Bigger grapplers naturally prefer straight line pressure, drive forward, stack directly, flatten, and control. It is a simple and effective strategy that works when the opponent stays where they are expected to stay. Smaller grapplers do not stay where they are expected. They live on angles. Instead of trying to resist force head-on, they redirect it. They get their hips off center, move their head out of the line of pressure, and attack from positions that the bigger opponent is not set up to defend. They enter around the side rather than through the middle, and they attack outside the alignment instead of fighting through it. That is why a skilled smaller grappler always seems to be in the wrong place. You go to pin them and they have already shifted. You lean your weight forward and your back is suddenly exposed. You settle into what feels like a dominant position and there is no one there. Section 6. Defensive habits. Most smaller grapplers develop elite defensive habits long before they develop elite offense. They have to. Getting caught in bad positions without strong defense does not end well when the person on top outweighs you by 30 or 40 pounds. So they learn to hand fight. They learn to protect inside space before it is gone. They learn how to frame under pressure without panicking. They learn to survive bad spots, keep their defense tight, and wait for the moment when the top person makes an error. That survival builds something just as valuable as technique. It builds composure. And composure is one of the most underrated weapons in all of grappling. Bigger opponents often expect smaller grapplers to panic when put in a bad position. Experienced smaller grapplers do not panic. They stay organized. They keep their breathing steady. They focus on winning the next small exchange rather than trying to escape all at once. Section 7. The truth now for the honest part. None of this means every smaller grappler automatically beats every bigger opponent. That would be fantasy. If the bigger person is also highly technical, composed, and experienced, size becomes a genuine problem. An extreme size difference requires a genuinely extreme skill advantage to overcome. Jiu-Jitsu does not erase physics. What Jiu-Jitsu does is reward leverage, intelligence, timing, and structure in a way that gives smaller people a real and competitive path, not a guarantee. A path. The best smaller grapplers understand this completely. They do not try to outmuscle a bigger opponent. They make size inefficient. They make strength clumsy. They make aggression dangerous. And then they expose it. If you train BJJ, you have felt this firsthand. Maybe you have been the smaller grappler who had to get sharper because there was no other option. Or maybe you have rolled with someone half your size who made you feel like a complete beginner. Drop your experience in the comments below. And if you want more honest, in-depth breakdowns like this from a real grappling perspective, subscribe to Choke Science.